Welcome back. You're watching Meet Your Ministers. We're in conversation with Nirmala Sitharaman. Let me now talk to you about another controversial issue, and that is the Companies Act. You're holding a meeting on Saturday. You've invited everyone from industry, all stakeholders, to participate in that meeting. I know several reservations and several concerns running into thousands have come to your doorstep and even the previous government's doorstep as far as the Companies Act is concerned. But do you personally believe that the Companies Act in its current form requires a complete overhaul or requires at least significant changes?
I feel the Companies Act has rustled a lot of feathers. It has caused a lot of anguish in different sectors of the corporate world, among chartered accountants, among company secretaries, and so on. I would wait for the 21st deliberations to be over to decide as to where it is really going wrong, how far the problem has spread, and does it require an amendment to the Act itself, or is it possible for us to tweak here and there some rules and solve it? All these are details I'm going to have to wait for the 21st deliberations to end. But it is only after that I can take.
But in your assessment, has it made doing business in India even harder?
It has led to a lot of confusion. It has led to a lot of perception that it is too much of a management problem. It is too much of a diligence problem. It is too much of a reporting problem. It makes you administer it as though that itself is an industry and not the industry in which each one of them are engaged in. So if that is the kind of administering reporting mechanism which is imposed on people who are running businesses, it certainly is not the best thing to happen to us, and therefore it needs reformation.
You know, Mr. Gadkari said that he is meeting with all state governments to take a call on amendments or possible amendments as far as the Land Act are concerned, and he's given a timeline of 20 days by when he should give his report to the Prime Minister. Your meeting is on Saturday. By when should we have some sort of a conclusive road ahead as far as the Companies Act is concerned?
After the meeting, I expect the Commerce Ministry to sit, the Corporate Affairs Ministry to sit with the Secretary and go through the inputs which have been received on that day. And at least within 10 days, the final report of what is required, tweaking, correction, or amending is required, the tabular information should come back to us, and after that I will certainly take it to the Finance Minister, because that I am working with him in that particular ministry. We'll take it forward from there. So it is, I'm not committing on exact dates, but the speed with which I want to work on this is because ultimately, along with the budget, at the same time, there should also be a comfort for us to say we are working on every aspect for easing business in India, for which, even if the budget is going to come out with several things that it wants to say, it is for the Corporate Affairs Ministry also to say that Companies Act, which was causing a lot of trouble, is also now being made simpler, easier to work with.
So tentatively the first week of July is when you should have your report ready in terms of the road ahead as far as the Companies Act is concerned. You know, speaking of the ease of doing business, and there has been a public consultation paper that's been put up in terms of what to do with labor reforms, controversial labor reforms. Everyone talks about it. Nothing has been done about it so far. Do you believe that this is going to be a priority for this government? Do you believe that we are finally going to see the Industrial Disputes Act and labor reforms become a reality in this country?
That's a very sensitive but desperately a sector which needs a lot of work to be done. Rajasthan government under Vasundhara Raje has already taken the initiative to do something at least. She's set the pace. She's already, whether she's gone full length or not, she's taken critical steps at least. There are issues, of course. Labor is something which every state also has to give an input. It's not just the center. So in this, we will work with every state government, because some reforms which A state can do, B cannot, and C will do something totally different, because each state has its own understanding of the kind of labor it has predominantly, and for them what kind of amendments has to be done. So here, instead of the central government speaking just in one voice and saying this is what has got to happen, I would happily engage. But it's not just the Commerce Ministry, it's the Labor Ministry which has to work on. We from this government will certainly be happy to engage with every state government and make sure that we move in consonance and also with everybody along with us rather than go it alone.
Speaking of course correction, two other areas which I believe that your government is looking to course correct on are the FTAs as well as the bilateral investment protection agreements. Again, if you could give me some sense of when we could perhaps see the changes that you intend to take forward on both these fronts.
On the FTAs, the review has already started. We are not doing a review which is across the board. each FTA is being assessed for what it is, the context in which it has been signed, and how much.
So any new FTA, I mean the EU-India FTA, for instance, been pushed on the back burner because of the negotiations not taking place. Exactly. So are the new FTAs going to be put on hold, or negotiations for the new FTAs going to be put on hold?
This way. Take the example of Australia. It's been waiting now nearly for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yesterday the Australian High Commissioner was here, and also I've had a telephonic conversation today with the Trade Minister of Australia. I'll be probably meeting with him in July during the G20 summit. Even with Australia, a bilateral FTA is pending. Now, it's been pending not just today, it has been pending for more than a year and a half. Our intention is not to put anything on hold, but at the same time we will not go into it much before we understand what the outcome of these are. And therefore I'll be consciously speeding this up, because I cannot make anybody wait, because my whole intention is to improve the environment for export.
So is the EU-India FTA going to be a priority for you?
No, all of them are a priority. Australia is a priority, Canada is a priority, EU is a priority. So it's not a question of which one takes the precedence. It's more like, do I know what approach to have for an FTA to be signed? And in the light of the experiences that we've had, about which the review is, I'll certainly take the inputs and only then be in a comfort zone to deal with other FTAs.
And is it going to be the similar approach as far as the BIPAs are concerned?
Yes, absolutely.
So the previous government had done a lot of work on reviewing BIPAs, and I was told that a cabinet note on that was ready as well. Are you going to take that forward, or do you start afresh?
I'm not rejecting anything just because it came from the previous government. But I'm also going to have to put it in the context that things hadn't improved even then. With a new government, with new hopes and expectations, we'll have to factor in the expectations which are run, not just of Indian citizens, but even of people who are coming to do business with us. So we will have to look at it as fresh, is what I'm saying. I won't reject something because it belongs to a different administration, but I'd certainly have to factor that in with the new expectations, new hopes, and the revival which is a priority.
So you will then not reject the previous government's version of the DTC, you will not reject the previous government or the committees that were set up by the previous government that gave recommendations, for instance, the Partha-Sathi Shom committee.
No, what is reject-worthy will not be maintained just because I want to prove that I'm honest about it.
DTC reject-worthy, not reject-worthy?
We don't know, but on DTC, of course, at the moment we think there's not much that you can do. We are going to hold on to it, probably. I'm not really going to push for it, nor at the same time I'm going to put it to ekdam in the cold storage.
But it's not a priority, and it's not on your radar at this point in time.
A lot of work is what I would say. DTC as it stands still requires a lot of work.
What about GAR? Because that was again something that was controversial, back and forth on it. Is it on your radar? Is it going to be something that this government prioritizes?
Again, that is something on which I think a lot of talk happened, but if you really look at it, there's a lot more work to be done on it. So can I do it immediately? Maybe not. I need more time. So that's where that is.
Let me come back to the state of the economy and ask you about what the approach is going to be in terms of fiscal consolidation, because the finance minister has made it very clear that fiscal consolidation continues to be a priority for the government. In that context, what should we expect? Because industry had expectations of incentives to crank up growth and so on and so forth. Should we expect incentives for manufacturing, for exports? What should we expect, given the fact that you do want to embark on a path of fiscal consolidation?
Which gives you the direction. Expect a good budget which is going to set the tone for this economy to revive. Expect certainly a budget which tells you, look, I intend to move forward in this way, but at the moment I have difficulties in terms of funding it, resourcing it, and so on. So I would only broadly describe this budget which is forthcoming as a budget which will know what it is talking about. It's not going to give any misleading messages. It is definitely going to be clear that our intention and commitment are one and the same to revive the economy.
Will it also be more realistic as far as the fiscal deficit target is concerned? Because you have accused the previous government of not being fair on the fiscal deficit numbers, or not being credible on the fiscal deficit numbers. So will you stand by the fiscal deficit target set out by the UPA, or do you believe that that needs a review?
Well, what the targets are or what the targets were projected are different stories. At the moment, the finance minister, all of us are as a team working towards getting the right messages with the right facts. And therefore, that's what is going to come.
So the target sacrosanct or not sacrosanct?
Which target?
The fiscal deficit target.
Well, target which we have set in our manifesto is the one which is sacrosanct for us.
Okay, let me end by asking you, how are you managing both portfolios at this point in time? And have you taken to this like a fish takes to water, because you are a trained economist?
Well, I'm enjoying it. I've had a background of, studying on trade, working on, multinationals. Well, yes, but it is also tempered down by the reality that I have to perform and show. So, enjoyment on the one hand, excellent teams which are working together with me. The secretaries in the ministry are doing very well. They're as hard working as all of us would want to be. Excellent finance minister with whom I'm able to put things across. Prime Minister is very motivating. So, and the people of India who've given the confidence in us, good enough reasons to work very hard.
Everyone's drawing up their 100-day agenda. Let me ask you to prioritize for me your top 5 items on the 100-day agenda.
I must be very clear. More of a 100-day agenda for us to work hard and move forward, unlike the 100-day promise of anybody else, where we'll do within 100 days A, B, C. We have not said that. We are saying more that we'll have to do in that kind of a pace. It's an agenda for us to work and move forward. Priority will definitely be sure that manufacturing revival happens. Be sure that you're going to facilitate Indian manufacturers to be able to be internationally competitive. Ensure that the economy is going to understand that we are working towards lifting it. People should draw the confidence and make sure that liquidity is available, banking services available, and ensure that people are going to be able to access what they want to perform. Because I basically believe and strongly believe Indians are by nature very entrepreneurial. We just need to help them.
So unleashing the Indian entrepreneurial spirit is your number one priority. Nirmala Sitharaman, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much, and we wish you the very best of luck with the 100-day and the next 5-year agenda for you. But thanks very much indeed. That's a wrap on Meet Your Ministers. We'll see you again. Till then, from the entire team, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.